of steel or bias. And good morning. It's early. We had a horrible head-on collision yesterday, late afternoon, early evening, out here at the shift change. And you've seen my film footage of how fast they can barrel by me, especially when I was doing the shot with the lighthouse on the Rio Grande, on the mouth of the Rio Grande. I was shooting when that guy just barreled by another co-worker while I was standing right there. He must have been 70 right out of the gate. But anyway, this head-on collision has kind of woke everybody up, and I have noticed that people have really slowed down this morning. I'm not sure if it's because of the head-on collision, but I noticed the sign said slow down when you came in, beach closed, slow down. So anyway, I felt this was kind of an easier drive, less stressful drive this morning because people weren't as gung-ho to get out here, or at least they were staying the speed limit, except for one car. But anyway, it's better. I don't know, you guys, if it was a fatality, it was a We had other deaths out here when they were doing the dirt mound. Cement truck rolled over, so they quit honoring the early turnaround bonus. That was effective. A woman got ran off the road. She died with some kids in the car. That was quite a few years back. I can't remember the details, but it was a cement truck at that too. Speaking of cement truck, we have a roll. We're back there on the north side doing spot pours. I don't think it's a big pour because I don't see the equipment out. But here you are. I am sitting at this loop road, and it's very early. I was going to come out at shift change, but because of the head-on, I decided not to. I did see film footage of it. It wasn't intentional, but if you care to see it, it's on Lab Padre's live stream. It was pretty bad, and we thought it was a friend of ours that owned the group, SpaceX Boca Chica group, that I have the page to, SpaceX Boca Chica, and we thought it was Alex, but Alex laughed. He said, that doesn't even look like my car. But you know how it is when you're parents and you see a car wreck, you go through the mind of all your loved ones and friends and family. And so Lewis turned on the live stream cam to see if I was watching, and I wasn't, so he calls me, and everything turned out okay for not being Alex, but we don't know if it has had a fatal catastrophe or casualty or something. So while we're sitting here and it's kind of slow, trying to figure out where the cement's being laid, I know the Launchpad's really busy, and I'm looking forward to going down there because they've done so much in the last 2 days since we've been around, and the corner walls are being erected, so we should see some more material rolling in here, because the material rolls in and they lay it out, and then there's not enough room for all the material to come in, you know that. So this material is going to be erected here soon, so I'm waiting for new material to roll in today. And the guy with the steel went in to the main gate. Just like folding a box together, you break the sides and you slap it together. Well, you guys are in the thick of it. Traffic is heavy, loads are heavy, lots of supplies coming in, and I'm waiting for more high base supplies to be spotted. Everybody's spotting them, but I want to spot mine. It's like the hunt is on. I like to find the loads when they come in. A lot of them would come to my front door when I lived at the villa. It was really funny how many trucks thought we were the shipping and receiving for SpaceX, and SpaceX would laugh about it too. It was like my camera equipment would get delivered to SpaceX, or SpaceX's stuff would get delivered to me, and we would just be polite about it and laugh. But trucks pulling in our front yard before SpaceX was established out here was I'll gab why this lift is being finished. We can't see it from this side, but I'm at the wrong side. It's on the east side, and I'm on the southwest side. But anyway, we would laugh because there was nothing here but a little mobile office trailer back by the Fish and Games cement block bunker that has now been taken down. It used to be a landmark that I would, on my Facebook SpaceX Boca Chica albums, if you go back there, you can see a lot of blogging and albums covering the north side development where that mobile office unit was, and that bunker block building was Fish and Games that they traded some land to SpaceX for, and we used that as a landmark for bearings for people that weren't from here, that they were trying to figure out what could be going on back there, or if they were doing models, or if they were doing YouTube videos trying to explain how the expansion was expanding, basically. But anyway, the mobile unit was the only thing here, so it wasn't really visible to truck drivers. They didn't really know where to go. There wasn't a lot of signage, and there was not a lot of fencing in those days. So they would just park in my driveway. I'd take them coffee out. and the big crane in the crane shed over on LBJ Boulevard. We sat for 2 hours visiting, and he told me all about the crane. It was just insane. He told me it was coming from the Cape, and it was being repositioned out here. It was one of their biggest cranes, and I said, "Where are they going to put it?" And he goes, "Well, it's not your house, obviously," and that was a big chuckle. And he went through 2 cups of coffee, and by 7 o'clock, one of the senior engineers that come to the mobile office unit saw him parked out there, so he came on. They used to turn right here at Remedius Loop instead of going on up to the villa, but he saw the crane up there and came up there, and he told him to go up to LBJ Boulevard. Anyway, they built the crane shed on LBJ Boulevard right over the crane. They parked the crane and then built the shed. It's like the dovetail construction. They've got pegs that stick out, that stick on the other side. And it's lined up at the top, but they still haven't married it down at the bottom. And there's a couple of workers down at the bottom that literally are successfully guiding it with little effort. Well, you can't see it now, but down there in the corner where you're looking at, there was 2 guys that were literally using tag lines and a push-pull method. And so you can see how the dogs are lined up now and married together. I've rigged a few of those wire safety boundaries with those clamps before. I can't remember what the name of those clamps are. Someone's going to have to leave me a comment on those clamps in the catalog language. But anyway, it's good to see the iron workers are taking this a step up. I really like the way they're constructing this high bay. I like the way they constructed all the high bays. The first one was the VAB building right behind my kitchen door. Yeah, it's right behind our kitchen door, so that was one of their earliest constructions. So it looks like they got some chuck wagons here. Tailgateonwheels.com. And then that's a new one. And then some regulars. That's really cool. And the guy came down on the man lift on the Carl. So I'm going to move on because it looks like they're going to wrap up for the next stage. And that'll take a while. So I'm going to go see what's going on down at the Launchpad. Come with me. Let's go. Let's go. Well, I'm over here on San Martin and behind the villa, and not much has changed. So, but I'll give you a peek. It's still the same tank that I shot the night of or last week, my night shots. And you guys know that you're not going to be able to see much for very much longer. The way they're putting up these high bays and tents, they need shelter from this harsh Texas environment. And sooner or later we're going to be blocked out from most of the views. Just like our house was pretty much blocked out from what it used to be when they surrounded it. So this is quite exciting footage to be able to still see and peek into these tents at nighttime with the high-def cameras for everybody, and to still have public access for everybody. And until that day comes, we're just going to enjoy it and see what we can see. Speaking of, I was supposed to be heading down to the Launchpad and got sidetracked, which is the story of my life. I was supposed to be a photographer and went to sea, much to the chagrin of my mother, who loved my photographs. This is nothing new, so I just like looking at her. Well, I stopped to have some breakfast, and I'm over here on the west side, and this is my breakfast view. And for breakfast I had yogurt, gluten-free granola, and an apple. Sorry I couldn't ask you for breakfast. Just off to my right, to the south, is Highway 4. I'm looking east at the production complex. And this is where right here to the right is where the truck drivers drop their shipment. And they pick up an empty flatbed and haul out, backhaul empty. And one is just picking up the empty flatbed. And that's the noise you hear. He's hitching up the fifth wheel. And the small crane, I'm sure the nerdles will tell me the name of that one. The small blue crane has been staging, sounds like pipe, because they've been lifting it from north and then dropping it to south. Left to right. And the Kappa concrete trucks have been going back to Bambi Village. So I'm not going to walk back there today. It's just grooming and more concrete pads for the campers. And those of you that wonder why I call it Bambi, it's a trademark name from Avalon. And when Avalon sold to Airstream, I don't know if it was like 63, 57, 63, somewhere where I was still barely out of diapers. Anyway, they kept the name Bambi for their small travel trailer, and it wasn't really a brand name, it was a nickname they gave for single axle trailers, for the small little weekenders. So you call any Airstream factory and you say, I want to see a Bambi, they'll take you right to the little cute little trailers that, well, I don't know, maybe these guys are bigger than Bambis, but they're not very big. Those are dual wheels. Sign says beach closed, slow down. Here's some of the action far away. You're looking east, and you're on the very south side of the rocket ship, or the Launchpad, rocket Launchpad. And that's behind the super heavy Launchpad that they're grooming. Well, we're down here on the west side of the launch site, and they're busy everywhere. It's going to be quite a few spots here. You can hear them pounding inside the tank, rocket ship. Anyway, there's a open hatchway up on top that they're inside of. And you can hear the track dozer chug off to the south. And there's a thumb hoe that is spreading, and the track dozer is leveling. Something 90% of us are not good at, and that's why they get paid the big bucks for being the leveler. Yeah, if you think I take a lot of pictures of people, well, I'm here to tell you they take a lot of pictures of me. And they took a lot of pictures of our property. And with me gardening. One time they were sitting there on top of, oh boy, what was it? SN5, I think it was. On a sunset. I can't remember the tanks anymore, but they were just sitting there jawing and had their cell phones out and was taking pictures, and I waved and they waved back, and I'm sure they got me gardening. And then there was a constant live camera feed on our property that was not Lab Padre, it was the other guy, and we had no privacy at all. At least, I told SpaceX, at least you guys get to go home and have the privacy of your own home. And then there was the multitude of Reddit followers and SpaceX followers, and even NSF and all the other followers that would stop by and want selfies. Or this one guy wanted me to autograph his arm, and his wife says, "Oh no, let me get a piece of paper." Another guy from Reddit came all the way from Minnesota just to come down and meet me. Had knee surgery, and he was trying to catch me. I was on my little watering tractor. My husband converted his old lawnmower when I got him a zero turn for Father's Day, and he converted his old lawnmower to a little tractor I'd drive around the village in the summertime when nobody was there and take pictures. Anyway, I got off my lawn tractor and had my watering cart behind it, and all those trees now are torn out. SpaceX tore them all out, so I spent some good days doing nothing there. But anyway, I digress. the guy's running and he's got this knee brace on, and I could tell it was a surgical brace, and I'm going, please don't do that. And he just wanted to tell me how long he's been following the space industry, and we related to being children of the moon program and how heartbroken it was when we lost our funding for NASA. Great stories on that fence rail. Just, if you look through my albums on SpaceX Boca Chica and you go to the menu on the left and you hit albums, not photos, but albums, there's a lot of blogs there. There's a lot of great stories that people told me, or you just never know. But anyway, it's a documentation from the very beginning, and Elon's even looked at it. I questioned Elon, you guys, if you can believe that. I said, you don't look at Facebook. And he said, well, I like your page. I went, okay, shut up, Maria. It's like, don't tell Elon he doesn't do Facebook. He ought to know. Oh, well. Anyway, he doesn't like Facebook any better than the rest of us. I think it's the proprietary problems and security that you have with Facebook. But anyway, on the Facebook page is quite a few stories of people that I've met and continue to meet just this morning. It's crazy. The guy doing the backhauling was having lunch, and I was having lunch, and we decided it was time to get out of there because the heat was building. Safe travels, everybody. You can see the flare stack there in the foreground. And we're dumping some loads back there but now by the track dozer. And the heat of the day is starting up, and it's still early morning. And when it gets quiet like this and I'm waiting for to see some cranes or whatever going around, I always drift. And I drifted last night to the comments that John and I were reading, and this one woman from Canada, and because I'm Alaskan, I really relate to Canadians, Canucks, and we just are great neighbors, Alaska and Canada. We visit Canada more than we visited the United States. My kids thought Canada was the lower 48 till they were about 7, 8 years old. But anyway, the Canadian lady was calling me Buffer St. Marie because they have a great Native Indian First Nation, they call them in Canada, famous folk singer back in the 70s and 80s, and her name was Buffy St. Marie, and that was her real name. So she's calling me Buffer St. Marie in honor of her Canadian heritage. So many funny stories. Keep leaving us the stories because it makes our job really worthwhile. We get ideas from your comments. We really do. Okay, he's out of the hatchway now, getting into the man lift. Or no, he's standing on top, taking in the view. I don't blame him there. I see some blue pipe going along the ground there to the flare stack. Oh, not to the flare stack, but on the past the flare stack on the other side. Going Okay, I am at the gate of this Starship Super Heavy Launchpad. I'm looking at something else, I'm sorry. Anyway, it looks like they're breaking down and packing up and taking it out. They've got some standby escorts, some pilot cars standing by to take off some extra wide loads. But that's not going to happen in my lifetime. These guys are not even ready to wide load it out of here. And they've got ground grooming. They've got dirt loads coming in. They've got, I'll get some pictures of it later, but from Rio Grande City, they've got a company depositing containers. Let's see, what was the, oh gosh, AUC, I can't remember the acronym. I'll get a picture of it for you, that are bringing in containers for more what I used to call Value Village behind the house. And what else is going on? They keep moving around that old jig stand, and now it's forward more than it was a couple of months ago. And the jig stand's still back here. This one's off to the right. I'll have to swing the camera around for you to see it. Looks like a rebuild to me. Maybe it was SN4s. You guys will have to leave comments because I don't go around to Reddit and some of the other groups. I don't have time to be everywhere. So anyway, I don't see them throwing much away. If they can upcycle it, they do. Text dot just rolled through here, so it looks like they're getting ready to do an escort, but I don't know what for. He waved to me, and looks like he's sizing up the roadbed. There he goes. See if I can get him. Adios, Mr. TexDot. They used to talk to me all the time. They just got busy with SpaceX. They used to stop at the house and tell us what was going on, and ask if they could help in any way, and kind of miss those guys. And this is being this is the expansion zone, I call it, because that's what you call it in landscaping. I don't know what they call it, but anyway, this guy's rolling or grading. He's got that grader that you can flex the blade. It reminds me of a saw where you can get any angle you want. Oh, we got a lift going on here. I'm going to swing fast. Hang with me. And I'm in some pretty sandy stuff. I'm not on the Nissan today. So my tripod keeps sinking. Well, we missed it. He already dropped it. cleanup time back there, and as they clear out a lot of this heavy equipment and crane. There's some more crane back where those dumpsters are to the far right, and I just panned from that area. But anyway, we'll be able to see their handiwork. Yeah, there's some more crane right back there, but you can't really see it without the spotting scope, the binoculars I use. A lot of noise coming from that jig rebuild, construction, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I saw a lot of these containers come in this morning, and I noticed it's a logo UASC out of Rio Grande City. Well, the truck is out of Rio Grande City. The containers, I don't know, they could be a bunch of bulk that they've got on auction. Well, you can tell it's summertime in Texas. The fire ants are out in droves. Yellow crane Grover is on the move to where I don't know. Here at the main gate, they've done a lot of elevation work. I imagine they're going to extend the concrete also. It's really nice. And then over here is the landing pad. I'm in sinking sand, so doing the best I can here. So there's your bearings. I'm on the north side of the main entrance, eating sand. It's lunchtime, very quiet. Seagulls always show up at lunchtime. How do they know that? They got an internal clock. Well, they moved the doghouse into the shade on the west side of the mobile offices, in between the Johnny offices, and there's the bunker building. I've been hearing all kinds of names for that building. I don't know what to say. It's pretty comical. I'll have to read you some of my comments, but the bunker building is having too much fun being named. We got the forms taken down, and we're down here by the test Launchpad. The SN5 is sitting right here. And I read it in the comments that it takes a long time, like 34 days for this to cure. So I don't know if they're going to put weight bearing on it before then, but they can be doing lots of other work on it. Until then, we'll be keeping an eye on the work that they can do until it cures. And they moved the doghouse for the sniffer dog down here out in the shade. So these are the backyards of SpaceX Village, and it's going through major infrastructure changes. Solar lines are being laid, water softeners are being put in. And it's kind of hopscotching around these private homes that you don't see infrastructure being dug up. And it's really going to be decked out, I'll tell you. It's going to be nice. Well, we are on Esperson. I don't film much back here because it's been too busy. But I just had to give you a perspective of the big Bluezilla back here, and how big it reaches. It's just humongous. And I just had a light lunch, and I'm getting ready to head into town. And some of these homes are getting upgraded here, and this one here with the blue Nissan is my girlfriend's. It's not being upgraded. This house here used to be Mike Sheets' house. He did a trade-off for a guy and was offered rent-free living in this house until he passed away. Mike Sheets was the honorary mayor of the old Boca Chica village. But a guy named Fred owned it, and then Fred got Alzheimer's, and then Dana and Frank took care of Fred, and he bestowed Dana and Frank a lot of his property. And then down here is see, Andy Nomad lives here, and there's the spy cam. That's what NSF, and you see his stuff on Reddit. Andy Nomad, it's not his name, but that's his tag name, Nomad. And real smart guy. Him and Ray got along really well. I like Andy, but we're not neighbors anymore. He's already sold. This was Dana and Frank's house. You've heard me say that 1,000 times. And the coolest house in all of Boca Chica was Dana and Frank's house. You seen the old dilapidated hotel over on the end of Weems? Well, this was the twin to it. And Fred fixed it all up. And right at the end of the fix-up, he developed Alzheimer's. And then across the street, that's LBJ at the end. And across the street was the big hotel, and that's where the crane's shack was built right over the crane. And the hotel was on that pad, and that's the crane shed. And then behind that crane shed is a swimming pool, and it's still there. This is from Esperson, looking at the storage yard there by the antenna farm, solar farm antenna, ground antennas, and we're looking south.